situation of other minorities, of journalists, of whoever is impacted by the human rights abuses in India. So thank you for that. Now I give the floor to Mr. Rana Basharat Ali, who is our last speaker. Mr., you have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you for Moise Mahayodi to giving this opportunity. And thank you to all my fellow speakers to represent in a wonderful way. This is a problem when you have intelligent speakers, so you will not get much to say in the end, because my previous speaker explained in a very good way, especially Dr. Sania and Miss Anna and Ramabel. You deliver a wonderful background about India and about Sikh and about the new law. But I will take this opportunity and I will take you further back, because I believe my colleagues explain very beautifully about the situation. I will take you about 557 years back when the Sikhism started. As we all know, the Sikhism started from the Hinduism. The Guru Nanak Sahib, the leader, the founder person of Sikhism, he was a Hindu. When he died, there was a fight on his funeral, that the Muslim said he is a Muslim leader, so we will do his funeral with a Muslim tradition, and the Hindu said he is a Hindu, so we will do with the Hindu tradition. Then the local authority involved, or some local leader involved, and they said, okay, let's divide in half and half. This is a theory and this is a story. And that time they don't adopt that this is a new religion. They said the Sikhism is a part of the extension of the Hinduism, like there is a more than 97 different castes in a Hinduism. Thus, they said this is a new extension. But then the new leader came, the new leader, time gone, then there was a fight between Hindu and the Sikhism in the beginning. So technically till today, the mostly Hindu, extremist Hindu, they still think or they still feel that the Sikhism is a part of the Hinduism. So they never adopt Sikhism as an independent religion. And secondly, they never adopt Sikhism as a new religion. And so this is an old ongoing crisis between religion and between culture. And this was always on a peak. This problem between Hinduism and Sikhism is not start from 1984 or 1982. It was ongoing problem from the beginning. And Khalistan was not a voice from 84 or 89 or after the partition of Pakistan and India. It was the movement even from many centuries ago. We are talking about 1700 and 1600. The Sikh always want independent country, and they used to have Raja Ranjit Singh was the king, or was the head of Punjab, joint Punjab, which include Pakistani Punjab and Indian Punjab. So this is just little background to you to understand. So they have a long outgoing issue. But the recent development, which we are talking about, that new law by the BJP government, or you can call the Modi Sarkar or Modi government, which is affecting the almost all the Punjabi, you can say Sikh farmers. And first of all, this law from the parliament, it was passed by in a side doors, not by the state exercise. And secondly, when this law was passed, it was not passed by the concerns of the Punjabi Sikh or farmers. And the third things, when the first time on the 1st November 2020, when the Sikhs from Haryana, they asked from the Haryana government for a protest against this new law. The BJP government run by the Haryana, they said no. Then the Sikhism, the Sikh or farmers, they do protest about 100 truck without government permission, and the Haryana government take a serious action and put almost from 100, they put 27 farmers in a prison for a long time. So this is where this campaign starts. Rather than handling with this as on a negotiation table, they take a BJP as in the past, what the Narendra Modi done in Gujarat with the Muslims. They exactly deal with the same way, and they use the force, they use the power, and they try to bring force on the Sikh farmers. So this is the mishandling, just because the protesters are not a Hindu. Protesters are from minority. Protester was from Sikh culture. So they use a power, and no, they do not want, and especially when we call Indian, we will say the Narendra Modi government, the BJP government, what they have a past, they do not want to admit they done a blunder. So rather than admitting, they are putting more power and more pressure on farmers, so they will not change this new law. And when we look at the Hinduism, we already speak various time. There is the Hinduism have a different mind of set. They have a different thought procedure about the other religions, even inside their own religion as well. I don't want to talk about that, because I spoke yesterday very openly about Hinduism and about the Hinduism caste system and brotherly family system and tribe system. But when we look at the internationally, I want to mention one name I already mentioned yesterday. Sir, let me remind myself the name. It was Jaswant Singh. Jaswant Singh was a British Sikh, and in 1984 he went back to the India, and he said he involved in a local politics. He was a banker, and he was a director in a local bank in Punjab. When he started his voice about the Sikhism, about injustice happening on a Sikhism, and he found that more than 25,000 Sikh youth are missing or might be killed by the Indian government. When he raised this voice, he get that threat from the Indian government. He get that threat from the local police and a local establishment. And after a few years, he was killed, just because he raised the voice for a Sikh. The same thing, we have to understand how the Indian culture run, and how especially the BJP government and Narendra Modi run the government. He's an extremist without any doubt. He was the person who was refused to get the visa for America and Europe and a different part of the world. And when you Google about Narendra Modi, and Google declare him as a terrorist #1 in India. But so-called democracy bring him in a power, and he's doing exactly what he was doing in a Gujarat. So I believe the Sikhism, I agree with Dr. Sania. She said the Khalistan is not a popular in current Punjab in India, but is very popular on internationally. And on in 2020, last year, we have a biggest protest in Geneva from the Sikh community from the worldwide, and the same thing the next protest due in 2020 in Geneva as well about independent Khalistan, because in India they have a very strict about their government. They killed in last 10 years, I'm talking about last 10 years, more than 18,000 Sikh youth are missing from the Punjab. Where they are, nobody knows. Why they are missing, we know. Because somewhere Indian government feel whoever Sikh will do protest, he is a Khalistani, or he is funding by the government of Pakistan, or he is funding by the international establishment. As Dr. Sania said, simply he's a terrorist. So he's not a Indian anymore. The same thing when this protest was started, the leading media from Indian industry, India media, and the leading leader, and Dr. Sania mentioned Kangra Rawat, they were start attacking on a protester. They were saying, oh, they are Khalistanis, they are the agent of international establishment, they want to break India, they want to they work for ISI, or they work for a international establishment. They don't want to focus what they want. They tag them as a terrorist. And the photo which was shared by the Kangana Rawat, it was a fake, and it was a misleading photos. It was a not correct photo about the protester. And the same thing, there is a lady, she's a head of the media and social media for BJP, and she's a right hand for the Narendra Modi. She shared the video where the one Sikh was holding a Pakistani flag and shouting about Pakistan. She said, look, they are a Pakistani terrorist, they are funding by the government of Pakistan. But later on, that video was fake, and the video was from the UK protest outside the Indian embassy. So they are misleading, and they are putting the fire on this normal protester, and they are putting a fire on the people who are just demanding their right. Because the new law, I will, my colleagues describe very beautifully, but one thing, this new law is very good in the beginning. It will run very nicely in very few months or few years, but the price control government agenda will be dismissed or will be disappear after next 2 or 3 years. There will no middleman, or there will not government involved on the price control. Then the big factories and big companies will be in a power and manipulate the situation of farmers. So I believe we need to engage international community and the United Nations about this issue. And we have to be very clear that the Sikh in a, not only a Sikh, as my colleague Anna and Rama Bell mentioned about the Kashmir.
Excuse me, sir, can you conclude because we are going to be running out of time. Thank you.
Okay. That's okay. So we need to raise the issue as for humanity. And the last thing my colleague mentioned, this is a danger for India. Dr. Sania, I will extend that it's not danger for India, it's dangers for humanity. Thank you and very much.
Thank you for your speech, sir. we'll have the opportunity to hear you again with the final. So because we're now